Ever feel like you're doing everything, but losing touch with yourself? Welcome to Well Connected with Dr. Elizabeth Hoefer. This is your space to slow down, tune in, and realign. We'll talk health, relationships, purpose, and the truth behind what it really means to feel whole. Because alignment isn't just for your spine, it's for your life. Let's reconnect. Let's realign. Let's get well connected.
Hey everybody, it's the Well Connected podcast with Dr. Elizabeth Hoefer. I'm your host, and this is another episode where I'm just going to kind of talk about my journey these last few years. I was reflecting on where I've come since I got my diplomate, and in the episode before this, we kind of dove into why I did that and my experience in that process. And that was already 3 years ago that I got the diplomate and have employed a lot of that information. But I kind of want to go back and maybe reflect on like what I would have wanted to know and how much I've grown and what things have changed at Well Connected in my practice, in my life since then. So welcome back.
All right. So what did things look like 3 years ago after you got your diplomate?
So 2023, I finished this incredible program. I felt like I was on top of the world. I was the smartest that I ever was and maybe ever will be. Because at this point, I feel like I've forgotten more than I've ever learned. That was actually very much the sentiment that me and my colleagues had this past weekend when I was learning some really incredible neuroscience stuff with the top researcher in the world on that, Dr. Jeffrey Iliff. I was like, I'm remembering more than I than I thought that I ever could know. And then layering on new information was just such a sweet treat to be able to take the things that I remembered and integrate it even deeper. And that's, I think, the beauty of neuroscience is that with every layer we grow and neuroplasticity happens, and then I can take that information back to the people that I get to take care of. And I came up with this incredible thought about 10 days ago. And that thought is so simple. It's reps get results. So repetition, whether it's good or bad, gets the results that you either want or you don't want. So if you get reps in of studying and working towards getting the grade that you want to get or the results that you want to get in the thing that you're studying, you're going to get that result. But if your rep is, I'm just going to push it off, I'm going to go and watch TV, you're not going to get the result that you want. You're going to get not understanding. So reps get results in no matter what you're doing. And when I look back over these last 3 years, I've put the reps in to being a better business owner, to being a better boss, to being a better friend, a better wife, a better mom. And the fruit of that looks like this incredible life that I didn't even know was possible. So while I felt like 3 years ago I was on top of the world in my intellect, I've actually learned so much more in my expression from a spiritual being, in my expression as a wife and a mom and a friend. And I think that came from the confidence I had because I put the reps in being a good student for a very long time.
Talk a little bit about where you were, like physically, what was your office like, and how many staff did you have? And
okay, so 2023 staff, we had just launched an associate. She worked with me for about 18 months. She was a student intern, and then she left Well Connected to start her own practice. And we helped her kind of get there. And I don't know, I think I probably had like 5 staff members at the time, and 3 of them were massage therapists. I had an intern who has since launched her practice, and I love growing chiropractors. I love having them come in with these fresh minds and this passion, and I see a lot of myself in them. The wonder and the excitement to share Blair and learn about Blair. And I knew that we needed to expand the clinic as far as services were offered and as far as the space that we had. I started in a very tiny little clinic. And that was actually smart. When I left the practice that I had worked at for 11 years, I wanted to not overwhelm myself financially. And so I started off small. And it's funny looking back, I thought that I was doing a big thing, and I opened this incredible clinic, and it was 1,263 square feet. Within 6 weeks, we were busting out of the seams in that tiny little clinic. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't dream big enough. And I had to wait 9 months to expand across the hall because there was literally no space open in the professional building that I had rented space in. So when I was able to expand across the hall 9 months later, that put me at February of 2020. And if anybody knows anything about the year 2020, I think the global pandemic, COVID, comes to mind. So 6 weeks before COVID hit, I had just doubled my space, doubled my overhead, and actually hired more staff. So I went into that, what? Like, how is that a thing? I can't believe I just spent all this money and invested in all these equipment and all these people, and now we can't work. Thankfully, with my leadership role in the California Chiropractic Association, we were able to be deemed essential in the state of California. And remind you, chiropractic is always essential. It's never not essential. But we were able to have the legislature agree with that because sadly, there are states in this nation that didn't get to practice for some periods of time during the early part of the pandemic. And because of my role and because of the amazing doctors that I worked with in that leadership position, we were able to stay open. So the first few months were a little sketch, but very quickly, things started to explode again. And by the time 2023 rolled around, we were so overwhelmingly busy. We didn't have a place to put anyone or anything. And people were standing out in the hall. We actually put chairs out in the hallway for people to hang out because there was no place to be in that tiny little office. And I knew then that we needed to move. And I also had a lease that I had to fulfill because I'm a very pragmatic person and I'm not going to break a lease and waste money just to expand. So I wanted to fulfill my lease and my obligation to my contract. And so we finished out 6.5 years at the clinic that we started at in Mission Viejo. And it took me 18 months to find the perfect spot. And for those of you who are listening that have lived with me through the first rendition of Well Connected, you will understand the parking lot. I have a really funny video of the first walk that I did through this parking lot where I was like, that's the thing that I went to this office for. We moved to 25909 Paula because of the parking lot. Everything else is cherry on top, in my opinion, and it's a magnificent clinic. I can't wait for you to come visit me here, but we just needed space. And the parking lot actually cost me business because people literally couldn't find a place to park. I had to personally give the keys over to my staff and have them drive around for 20 minutes on days where I had to leave and come back because I couldn't even find a place to park to come to work. So the parking lot was a big deal. It took me 18 months to find this space, get the permits to move into this space. This space wasn't zoned for medical. We made it happen, but everything in order. So we took the time, we did our due diligence. I had the most amazing realtors helping me find this place. And then we built it out. And in February of 2025, we got to move into this space. So 2023 to 2025 was this really big kind of like almost swelling and like expansion, but we couldn't move yet. So it was this uncomfortable, like, you know, when you eat too much at a buffet and you want to like take your pants down, it was like that for like a year and a half. And we all knew we wanted to move. And my team still continued to grow. I started adding more staff because I knew when we got to the bigger space, we were going to explode instantly. And that's exactly what happened. So it was a really incredible time of excitement and expectation, and also learning how to be a better business owner, making decisions not out of fear, but out of understanding and projection of like, what do I want? Instead of what do I not want? I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to overwhelm myself financially. I was like, we're going to invest and we're going to sow and we're going to grow into the space. So I think the come from for me was, I'm not trying to come from a place of scarcity or fear. I'm growing into a leader. I'm growing into an amazing doctor that I know people are going to fly over the world to see. And that is exactly what is happening here at Well Connected. So it's been really fun.
You mentioned in 2020 that you were able to help chiropractic be considered a necessity. And that was with which organization?
So the California Chiropractic Association is the body that protects chiropractic in California. And in that season in the state of California, dentists weren't considered essential. I mean, I think hairdressers had to shut down and gyms had to shut down and stuff that you take for granted every day that you get to do. If it had to do with breathing around people or you were in close proximity to someone, you weren't considered essential. And the way that we were able to achieve that truth is because we're known for back pain and we're known for low back pain. And one of the most disabling things in this nation is low back pain. So people go to the hospital when they're in debilitating low back pain. the hospitals couldn't afford to have anybody there that wasn't dealing with this thing called COVID. And so we made the legislatures understand that if we could take care of people and keep them out of that pain, we could keep the hospitals from being overrun. So that was the ticket to the proven science that chiropractic has done and the success that people just automatically think about chiropractic. And it was beautiful because we did save a lot of people from having to go to the hospital unnecessarily. And we took away the burden from that system that's already overtaxed.
So was that your first time getting into advocacy for her?
No, I was involved in advocacy since 2011. I was so grateful to be able to be an associate doctor for 11 years and have not the responsibility of owning a business and running a clinic and managing the people, the staff, that I got to spend my time volunteering for the profession and understanding legislative action and getting involved in the politics of chiropractic. So since 2011, I've been involved locally here in Orange County, but then I got to get elevated and elected to higher offices in the state. And so by the time COVID happened, I was in the state leadership, and I guess I had my eyes on the presidency because in 2023, I became the president of the California Chiropractic Association. And I was able to lead that organization to the best year financially that it had in a long time, maybe ever. And I had the most amazing crew of staff and doctors and people behind the efforts that we were making to help people understand that chiropractic is not, it's not a luxury thing. It's an essential part of your healthcare.
Awesome. What made you want to step into that kind of leadership role? I mean, you talk about it like it fell into your lap.
Yeah. I've always been a person who wants to advocate for things that I believe in. And in the world of chiropractic, I don't even want to play the victim. It's just been a struggle against other thought processes and other ideologies since its inception. And I care about the people that work in this profession. Maybe they don't practice the same way as me, but I believe they have the right to practice any way that they want to. So in California, we have a very large scope and we have a very broad way that we can do the things we get to do. And I want to protect that for every chiropractor. And so how it happened was that I took care of a patient that had been to 6 different other chiropractors, and he was a personal injury case. And I didn't have any idea, truthfully, that he was a personal injury case. He just signed up to be a patient in the office, and we did what we did, and he got significantly better relatively quickly. And his attorney called and said, "Who are you? What are you doing?" This was in 2010. So I was 18 months into practice at that point. And he said, "Who are you? What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I do Blair." And, it's just different from, the traditional, way of chiropractic. And he's like, "Well, I want to learn more." So it happened to be that he was a chiropractor and an attorney. So he still had an active chiropractic license, and he was an attorney because he went to law school to protect people against insurance companies. And so he came in and learned, and he's like, "I want you to teach this here in Orange County." And by this time it was 2012, and I was like, "I've only been in practice like 3 years. I'm not sure what you want me to teach anyone." He's like, "Teach Blair." And I was like, "Okay." So I think that it was the end of 2012 that I got certified, and that process was grueling and incredible. And there's a board certification process in the Blair Society, which I then became the president of, believe it or not, long time later. But I went through the process, got my certification, and then started teaching doctors in Orange County. And he was the president of the Orange County California Chiropractic Association for our local area. So his influence and his leadership invited me in, and it was because I just simply showed up and did a good job at the clinic that I was working at. So I always talk to students and I tell them, like, you just do good where you're planted, and then the opportunities will come. Because if you're doing excellent in the work that you're doing, you're going to get noticed and you're going to get found out, and then you're going to get asked to do more. So it was kind of like it fell in my lap, but it was because I was doing a good job in the work that I was doing.
So that was from 2022 to 2023, right?
When I was the president of California Chiropractic Association, yeah.
And then talk to us about the Prosper group that happened.
So I have always been a huge advocate of having a business coach. Since I opened my practice in 2019, I hired a coach before I even opened my practice. And then I was with a different coach at the end of 2020. I had met Barbara Eaton in the Blair Chiropractic Conference in Florida. We were the only chiropractic body that had an in-person meeting in 2020 after COVID hit. And we went to Florida because it was open and safe. And I met Barb Eaton there. And instantly my whole staff knew that we needed to have her as our coach. So I signed up with her and instantly started like growing the clinic, understanding the systems. The cohesiveness of the team was even better. And our clinic kept growing and our results kept getting better. And she is the queen of connection. Her and Garrett Gunderson, who then became one of my coaches, always talk about your net worth is your network. And they have relationship capital like no one I've ever known. And so she kept introducing me to all these people. And so the Prosper Group came about because Barbara Eaton is like personal friends with Michael Michalowicz, who's written all of the best-selling books on how to run a business. My favorite is Profit First. If you own a business or you're thinking about owning a business or you want to understand personal finance, read Profit First because it changes the game on how you do anything in your business. He just wrote a new book actually about personal finance, and I bought that one too, and I gave it to all my kids. So I met Mike through this interview process, and there was like 1,700 applicants worldwide, and I was one of, I think, 7 businesses that got chosen to be a part of the Prosper Group. And the entire idea behind it was that they take your business and they see where you're at and they help you scale to the next level. And in that moment, in that time, I was dreaming of like well-connecteds in every community of the world. Having been a part of that group for like 18 months, I recognized I actually don't want to do that at all. I want to be one clinic and send lots of doctors out to the world. I want them to come here, train, get amazing experience, and then go wherever they're called to go. I don't want to live in Iowa. No offense, I love you. I grew up there. I'm happy having from there, but I don't want to go back to Iowa. I don't want to live in Montana. I love big sky country. I want to visit there and see my beautiful friends. I don't want to live there in wintertime, okay? But there are people who are called to every community of the world because that's where they're supposed to go. But I want them to come here to Well Connected and get trained and then be so equipped that they can go to India or Ireland or Africa or wherever and do this thing that we taught them how to do and grow their community and have them have their heads on straight there, right? And I only learned that because I was a part of the Prosper Group. And then I was like, I don't even need to be a part of this anymore. I'm going to quit. And it's not that I quit. I just, decided that this wasn't the right journey for me because I didn't want to have that big dream anymore. And what's so cool is that they were so gracious. They were like, we get it. We don't want you to do something you don't want to do. And so grateful that you were part of this. And when I look back at the time, I was the most successful business in at the time and like gave them the most profit for the time that I was in. So there was no love lost on their end. They made money from me being successful. So it was a win for everyone. And there are lots of businesses that are still a part of it. They're growing that system. And if you're a business and you want to get connected, I'll hook you up. But I got out of it and I recognized like, gosh, having been in that, the Prosper Group gave me so much clarity about what I want. And I thought I wanted to have 20 well-connecteds. And then I realized I actually don't because I want this thing to be so special that people come here to learn and then they take it and then they make it their own elsewhere. And I don't want to manage that. I don't want to be the person in charge of somebody in South Dakota. Like that isn't who I am. Even setting up the podcast and like getting all the things ready, I don't want to do it by myself. I want to be with my people here. So if you want to be a part of my people here, you come here and be with us and then you get to grow and learn and go, So that was a really cool thing to experience.
It's awesome. And then in 2024, the Upper Cervical Innate Practice of the Year.
Yeah, I won that clinic award. And that was a beautiful thing because that isn't something that you get you're voted on, but it's nominated by your peers and it's an international award. So there's doctors that do upper cervical in the entire world and everybody throws people's names into the hat. And 2024 was a pretty incredible year for Well Connected. We were busting out of the seams at the little clinic and we were ready to make the move. I had already decided on the location and we had already made the plans and we were in the process of building out this place here at Paula. And I had launched 3 associates. I'd trained 20. I had a staff of like 15 at the time. We were doing an incredible amount of volume in the upper cervical world as far as like patient care and collections. But even bigger than that was the impact that Well Connected was making in the community, whether it was, sponsoring local high schools or helping with brain injury patients and helping veterans, also training students and sending them out. It was it was really neat to be recognized by my peers and being honored by people who, I guess, for all intents and purposes, are considered competition. And they just wanted to honor me with that award. And it's a really special thing to be in the club for. So,
Did you have any other big milestones between 24 and 26? Any other awards or anything that had come up?
you know, I have an awards wall, and I don't even have all my awards on the wall, but I can't specifically think of anything since 2024 that I've won. But I will tell you, from a personal development perspective, the thing that I'm most proud of is the healing of like relationships in my life, and specifically my marriage, and just like seeing how I was addicted to the success of my career and I put my family on the back burner, and vulnerably, it was not the right choice. I mean, sure, did I have financial success? Of course. And did it look really good on paper? 100%. But did my husband like to see me when I got home? Probably not, because I was never home. So really diving into working on my marriage and working on my relationship with my kids and being a better friend, that means more to me than all of the other awards and all of the other accolades that I've received, because now my marriage is so incredibly rock solid, and we've overcome some of the most insane like heartbreaks and painful things together, like losing grandparents and financial woes and unemployment for my husband. It's just been an amazing ride, but knowing that I have the capacity to look at myself and reflect on the things that I can work on, and having him be on that journey with me and love me unconditionally, that means more to me than anything in the world.
What about your relationship with your patients? How's that changed in the last 3 years?
I feel like my patients become family and friends, and often I hire them to work at Well Connected because they just love being around us. So I think the 3 people sitting in this room are also people that I used to take care of that now get to work here. And the patients are so awesome. And we attract people from all over the world, and I know it sounds kind of corny, but they become family, and we're genuinely invested in their lives. We care about the fact that their kid is sick in Ohio, or their grandparents struggling in Tennessee, or they have a kid graduating from college. We like send them congratulation cards and send them get well cards, or bereavement. We're so sorry you lost that loved one. It's such a special place and such a special community, and it's really neat when they refer their loved ones in because they want them to be part of the cool club too.
So, is there an area of your practice or your leadership where you feel like you're still in the middle of learning the lesson?
I think as a human, we're always in the middle of learning lessons, and I don't know if we ever arrive. I think it's a constant iteration of the next best level. And I think for me, I was just reflecting on this today with my coach because I had a call this morning with Barb. My come from isn't, again, it's not out of a place of scarcity or fear or, man, I just had my best month ever. Holy smokes, how are we going to keep that up? Because we have to, because of da 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 da. It's rather, look at the fruit of all of the amazing ways that I've learned and grown, and look at this incredible reflection of the way that I've attracted my life. All of the women that work for me are in a reflection of the beauty of my heart. And every one of them have a piece of my heart with them, and they get to shine in their special gifting, and I get to celebrate that. The come from for me taking care of people isn't, I need to check 100 people Tuesday so that I can pay the bills. It's, I got to serve 100 people and make their lives better. And that has come through a lot of experience, a lot of like breaking down what used to make me feel successful. And now it's just such a place of freedom that I get to like walk in joy and peace and truth and love, as opposed to like, I need to keep this up because I have bills to pay.
So we've done a lot of reflecting and it's all been great, but let's end with some momentum. Like, what can you say that you're looking forward to and that your patients should be looking forward to for you within this coming year?
I love that. So looking forward, I'm looking forward to having Diana join us as an associate doctor. She's been with us for 18 months as a student intern and as a chiropractic assistant, but she is moments away from getting her license. What that looks like is she's going to get to start helping me take care of patients, and we're going to have a bigger impact in the community. I look forward to actually doing more entrepreneurial type roles where I get to be the CEO and not just the doctor working in the practice. And it looks like Diana taking a bigger role in patient care. I also just hired a rad tech who is an incredible restoration in friendship and reclamation in my career. It's a lady who I actually hired 13 years ago to work with me at the other clinic that I was at. And our paths have aligned and come back into proximity of one another. And she's going to be joining the practice. So we're going to have the ability to take more imaging and x-rays where we need to. Right now, it's more of like do I have the time to take this picture, as opposed to we need to take that picture because I need better clinical information. And it just looks like a better offering here, like better service, more cohesive transitions, and probably me being at a little bit more conferences and Diana taking care of people. The other thing is I want more students to come. I want more interns here at the practice to learn the way that we do things, because in my opinion, it's an incredible way to kind of meld the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual all into one and really take care of the whole human. So it's a really cool thing. And I look to probably 4 years from now, probably having to buy my own building and expanding into a bigger space and fulfilling this lease, but offering more amazing services that complement the Blair chiropractic method.
Amazing. Do you want to say you'll see them in the next episode?
Sure. I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. Thanks for listening to my heart. I would love for you to subscribe and share. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just reach out to me at wellconnectedchiro.com.
Thanks for joining Dr. Hoefer today on Well Connected. We trust something you heard brought you closer to the life you're meant to live. Because alignment isn't just about your spine, it's how you move through the world. So keep listening to your body, trusting your wisdom, and living your life in alignment. And above all, stay well connected.